This is very disappointing, and it wasn't just that the average hourly earnings were down. The strong November number got marked down, so it wasn't as good as we thought. Hours were flat, and we have a job market that continues to baffle because it creates jobs but not income, and that's been a characteristic for quite some time now. My concern is that our hopes on the fourth quarter GDP and strength going into 2015 are really built on some fairly strong household spending reports. Without the underlying, sort of bread and butter of hours and earnings, there's not going to be the income to support that, and we're not going to get a 2015 acceleration. We'll just sort of flatten out again. I think that's the big risk.
We also have to be paying attention to inflation, and that wage number that you saw this morning going down is somewhat indicative of the low inflation pressures that we've been seeing. Earnings growth, on average, it's been about 2 to 2.25% across a variety of measures, and now it's lower for average hourly earnings this morning. I think if we're going to get inflation up to our 2% objective, and it's now like 1.5% on core, a little bit less than that, we're going to have to see wages increase more. So I think that's indicative of one of the dilemmas we're facing, and that's why I'm in favor of being patient on raising interest rates.
The unemployment rate continues to fall a lot faster than anyone at the Fed has been expecting. And so I think that's going to keep the Fed pretty much on track, we think, for a mid-year rate hike. Now, the more immediate question is, does anything change later this month at the late January meeting? We don't think so. And the Fed, I don't think, really has to take a stand yet on how to interpret the latest round of data.
Credit concerns are one thing, but let's talk about capital raising. I mean, European banks are much behind U.S. banks here, but they still have a lot of room to go here. Our banks are obviously in very good shape for all intents and purposes, but it doesn't mean that if things are going to start to get sloppy, that our banks are immune. When you think about our large money centers, they have a lot of exposure over there in Europe to me, and so we're going to have a lot of earnings next week from our guys, and I just can't imagine in an environment where we know rates are not going up anytime soon. They're not going up on their own, and the Fed's not raising them anytime soon. This is not the environment where you want to be buying banks.